Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to this morning's chat. Today's topic is SolidWorks Electrical 2015, what's new in it. Some of you may have gone through some 2015 rollouts provided by your VAR. And they may have spent maybe 2 minutes on SolidWorks Electrical. Well, today we'll go into a lot more detail on the new functionality that's in 2015 on the electrical side. And I am Wayne Matus. I'm an application engineer with Progression. A little bit of housekeeping to begin with. The webinar control panel. You can use the little icon with the red arrow or the red icon with the white arrow to collapse or to expand the control panel. I do ask that you hold your questions at the end of the session. Everybody is muted. So if you have questions, ask them through the control panel. First thing I want to talk about is the custom rights management. Now this is actually added in 2014 Service Pack 2, but you may not be aware of it. So if I launch SolidWorks Electrical, it's going to ask me now to log in. So this is a little more security. And let's go to, let's see, the tools and interface configuration, and then the rights management tab. This is where you can set up rights management. Checkbox here says that you must log in using the software. If I click on the edit your account, this is the username and password. So here's where I could change my password if I needed to. And the rights management itself, if I click on this button, it gives you a little bit information about the rights management, what you can do or what users can do and can't do. There's different profiles. There's a profile for administrator, profile for library management, project manager, project editor, and project contributor. To see what permissions those particular profiles have, I can click on the feature grid command button. And here's some of the features. I could also export this out to XCBS file. So basically here's different categories for the different types of commands that are available to them, the description of the command, and the different profiles. So you got an administrator profile, again, the library manager, project editor, project contributor. And you can see that the administrator basically has full permissions for all things. The library manager has not quite as many, project managers less than that, project editors less than that, and project contributor just has a few commands that are available to them. For example, they can export out project drawings to PDFs, DWGs, or SolidWorks e-drawings. Now you cannot make any changes to these permissions. Unfortunately, you can't do the changes to them, so what you see is what you get. To add people to the different profiles, so for example, well, I'll go with the contributors. So I need to create a new group underneath the contributors. So I'll select project contributors, and I give this group a name. Give it a name, and then I can select that group and add users to it. And okay, and then now, got to have at least 6 characters in the string. So now I've got a user in that particular group, and if I want to delete a user, I just select it and hit the delete button. To go to the properties of the user, there's information about that user. I don't think you can have a user in more than one group. I may be wrong on that statement. I haven't tried it. Anyway, there's, and of course, well, I really don't know why you'd want to have a user in more than one group. So that's the rights management. While I'm here, I want to show you one other thing that we can do in 2015. I can actually open up my symbols in DraftSite. Now, this does require the older version of DraftSite. I tried it in the new DraftSite 2015, and it says that application is not installed or something to that effect. So now if I save this, now it may take a while to refresh, but if I double click on this now, you can see where the lines that I deleted are no longer in the symbol. The next thing is for the users who have Enterprise PDM. Again, just like the rights management, this is actually added in 2014 Service Pack 2. But we now have 2 different ways of managing files, electrical files and electrical projects in EPDM. Originally, we just had the update files and PDM button. Now we also have the ability to check in and check out buttons to manage the projects and the files in EPDM. And on my link to PDM configuration button, this is the dialog box that was on the PowerPoint screen, and to change this, now it does again warn you here that you don't want to change this in midstream. You can have one or the other, but you can't have both. Also, actually, this is best practices that gives you information about the thing. Information says basically you would use the check-in, check-out method if you have multiple collaborative servers. So in effect, each user has the collaborative server installed on their computer. Use the old method. You got one shared collaborative server. And then this is where you could also set up, nothing new here, but set up the vault, the folder to put the projects in. And also, what do you want to archive? Do you want to archive, or excuse me, add? What do you want to put in the vault itself? The archive, export of drawings, export of or the 3D models, PDFs, reports. It's an issue on the 3D models. You really don't want to do 3D models if your EPDM vault is set up to do not allow duplicate file names, or otherwise you're going to have problems, because each one of these projects is going to have the same 3D model. And again, EPDM doesn't allow that, so you don't want to save or export 3D models and put them into the vault. New in 2015, there's a connector management tool that's available to you. Simplifies the process of putting in electrical connectors into your projects, into your schematics. Before, we really didn't have anything. Basically, you just had to insert your symbol. So I'll show you a little bit of this. Open up the project. And open up a schematic. I'm just going to delete everything that's here. And insert a symbol here. And I'll use this under the schematics tab on my command manager, insert connector. And yes, I want to create a new connector. Search my database for connectors. And we'll use this 24-pin connector here. And go ahead and use the same root. Location will be in the main function or door. Just keep that the same. Excuse me. And now we have the ability to select a configuration. 3 different options here: dynamic connector without pins, dynamic connector with pins, or 1 symbol per pin. This one I'm going to use my dynamic connector with pin symbol. And now it's going to put in, or if I select into the schematic, it'll put in all 24 pins. But I don't want 24 pins. I've got the ability to limit the number. Now this is a little bit awkward, I guess, to say. I'm going to say 6 pins. And I was hoping that it would actually select the 6 pins, but it doesn't do that. But now if I do select the pins, well, actually with that button check, it's just a toggle. Now it doesn't let me select any more than the 6 pins. And let me change the orientation of it and place it right there, I guess. So there's that pin, and I could now, if I needed to, I could add some additional pins to it, or place another connector with some additional pins. And let's put in another connector. Yeah, create a new connector. Let's go with this connector. This one's got 2, 4, 5 pins on it. And this one I want to use the 1 symbol per pin. And let me change my orientation. I want the orientation where the pin is 170 degrees. And place it right there, and now you can see it added 5 different symbols for the different pins. So that's the pin or the connector management tool. A lot easier to put connectors in than it was before. Formula Manager has been modified. Makes it easier to add additional formulas. So we can add formulas on the fly. I'm going to go ahead and create some wires between here. I want to create 5 wires between the 2 connectors. And now if I select all the five wires, if I right click on it and I want to change the change the properties of this. I can change the properties. I can change the line width here. Equipotential formula. I want to change my equipotential formula here. And this actually now brings up my formula manager, or my predefined formulas that I've got in here. Here's some recent formulas that I've just added shortly or not long ago. And then there's another tab here for variables and simple formulas. And then I can just create a new formula here. So for example, let's maybe put in a location tab. And then I can put in some static text. Static text needs to be in double quotes. And then find the next simple formula. And notice it put in the plus before it. So basically, that's how you add formulas. And actually, I didn't want to use that formula. I want to use this formula here, and I want to replace the existing formula with this formula here. And now I'll just renumber the new wires. Yes, without modifying. And now my label's got using that formula we just said to use for the location, and then the number, equipotential number, and the color, equipotential color, and the cross section, I think, and I don't remember what all else, but anyway, we're using that new formula for there to label these wires. Another thing they've added in 2015 is the ability to change the project in Excel. So basically you can export out your project into an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can make some changes to the Excel spreadsheet, and then you can import those changes in to your project. Now it is a little bit limited, but it can be useful, I think. So you really would not be tying up a license of electrical to make some changes to information in the project. I'm going to close out this project, I guess, and we'll open up this training project here. So here's the training. If you've been in a training class, there's the different projects with the different schematics, different drawings. And I can go to my import export tab, and first I need to export this out to Excel. I can have different templates to use. Here's just a PLC template. I can do all projects. I can do electrical components, or I can generate more than one spreadsheet. I'll do all objects, I guess, just to show you what all gets exported. And then I can click next. Where do I want to place this export Excel file? And I'll just put it in that work folder. And I've already got one there. I'll override it. And then it should open up or launch browser, and let's go and open up this file we just exported out. Open it up in Excel, and here's information about the books. There's different tabs here for the different things. Now, I will caution there are some limitations. that I cannot add additional items. For example, I cannot add another book here. I cannot delete a book or delete anything. I cannot add rows or columns to any one of these tabs here. Only thing I can do is modify information here. So for example, let's go to the drawings tab. So here's drawings. So I could add user data, for example, to each one of these drawings, functions, different locations, the wire styles. I could add, oh no, excuse me, I couldn't add a wire style, but I could change stuff in here. Or I could add voltages to different wires. PLC input output. This is one where I think it'd be beneficial, the descriptions. If you're using electrical to input descriptions for the input outputs, it's kind of difficult there, but you could export it out to Excel, key in your descriptions for the different channels, then save the changes and then import them back in. So there are detectors and sensors. There's connectors, fuse disconnectors, power supply, signals, motors. So maybe for the motors, maybe I'll put in a description here. And let's save these changes. And let's open up, I guess, well, this is a mixed power schematic. So here's our motors. If I go to the symbol properties, there's no description for them here. But if I go back and import in that Excel spreadsheet, select the folder, and that was the All Objects spreadsheet. And there's just information. So basically this is, green here is what's changed. And what do I want to do? Do I want to, about the spreadsheet, do I want to, if I delete the snap sheet, then the file is actually removed, and I can't import again from it, keep snap sheet, it'll keep it. So that way I could then go in and make some additional changes and then import that in again. I'll keep it, I guess. And now if you look at the symbol property, we should have the field description for that motor or pump. So that's the project data importing in, exporting out from Excel. In the 3D side of things, we have the routing analysis tool. It will give you information what your problems are with your routing side of things. And I'm going to turn on my electrical lab in the 3D side, and again it's asking me for a login. And I will open up the project manager and open up this project here. And open up this assembly here. And if I route wires, we now have this checkbox here to show errors, and this is the routing analysis tool. I'll do a 3D sketch route using splines and OK that. And here's the dialog box. So look like right now I've got one manufactured part that's not inserted into the assembly, this KM1 component. There's a few other things in here too. There's a missing connector point for the F1 SolidWorks component. And there's some missing components that are not really affected by this, but cable gland, I don't have cable glands, I don't have a few things in here. So now if I go in here and insert this assembly or this component that's missing, and now if I route my wires and delete existing wires, and now notice I don't have any missing components now, but I still have the other issues that I would need to go in here and resolve, but I'm not going to do that at this point in time. I'm running close to time. This miscellaneous stuff, I'm not really going to spend much time on that, but just want to talk about it a little bit. And I'll just look at the online help for this. Some new features we did already talk about. Showed you the change project data in Excel. Environment archive. They modified the environment archive tool to where you can pick what to archive when you archive the environment. They modified the manager interface. They got filter tabs on everything. The filter tabs is improved. It looks better than it did before. Formula manager we went over. Connector management we went over. Permanent state of components. You can actually, in effect, define a component and make it a permanent component. If it's a permanent component, when you delete all the symbols that the component is associated with, it does not delete the component. Now you can manually go in and delete the component afterwards, but it doesn't do it automatically for you. Made some changes to the interface to manage cross-references, customize routes, we went over that. New interface to display properties. Showed you a little bit of that, I guess, when we looked at the symbols manager. It's the interface is a little bit different than it was before. Not sure about the mark tab on the project configuration. They redesigned it, but I don't know what it looked like before compared to what it looks like now. You can now download CAD files directly from Electrical. There is an XML export now to where you can export to XML format. XML is a kind of a neutral format that you can then import into ERP systems and things of that nature. Routing analysis, we went over that. Associate components to parts or assemblies. I think previously you could only associate a part, a component, an electrical component, a part to electrical component. Now you can associate an assembly to electrical component. Some enhancements. They redid the interface a little bit on the drawing menu tab. Macro manager changed a little bit. Environment archiving. I don't remember what that's going to do for you. You can now use auto route when you're routing harnesses, wires, and cables. So you really don't need the EW_path. I think sketches in there if you can do it, or you can do it with auto route if you, rather than having the EW path. Sketches, 3D sketches in your models. Cable core style, a little bit different there. Property manager. Basically, these are just little things. They've added 62 different additional ANSI symbols, and we can also export out DWG DXF in 2013 format. So now I guess we'll open it up to questions and answers. And let me bring up my panel. Come on. Again, we're running out of time, so if you do have any questions, here's my contact information, Wayne@progressiontech.com, or I'm extension 295. You new to SolidWorks Electrical, you haven't seen it before, if you'd like a demo on it, you can call Progression Sales. They're at extension 1. You can go to our website, progressiontech.com, and select Get a Demo on the home page. Our next webinar due to the holiday season, next webinar that we're going to have is going to be Friday, January the 9th, and that's going to be on learning key design strategies to increase productivity. This is basically using SolidWorks and all the additional add-ins for SolidWorks. Then we also have the next one after that is going to be the Learn the Benefits of XLEAD one part, and that's on January 23rd. XLEAD one part is it's a tool to find information. And I'll leave it at that. If you're interested in the ability to find information, you may have information scattered everywhere, where this is kind of a way of collecting all that information and putting it in one central location where you can find it. If you are interested in that, sign up for the January 23rd webinar. I do, again, thank you and apologize for going late. Also, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and hope you have a Happy New Year.